Financial stress reduces emotional bandwidth. When money worries take up mental space, there's less capacity for patience, empathy, and emotional regulation. Men may snap quicker, shut down emotionally, or feel overwhelmed by small problems because their mental load is already maxed out. Let me explain further. Hey guys, welcome back to the Anchor Show. My name is Andrew. Today I'm going to be talking about how financial stress or money problem can gradually turn into a mental health problem. Let's dive right into it. Most guys nowadays, or I guess forever, have always been valued based upon their pockets. It's the plain old truth. I don't need to go look for researches. You can see it around you every day. You see it on the internet, on social media. It's everywhere around us, right? Men are valued by their pockets, and it's the honest to God truth. It doesn't matter how much a guy brings to the table in every other capacity. If he's not financially stable and is financially abundant or adequate in how he takes care of himself and more so his family and the people around him, his worth and value is going to be low on the totem pole. And that's just the truth. But how is that an issue, right? Well, this is how. We live in a time right now where financially and economically it is very difficult for people to survive, right? Inflation have caused the price of goods and services to skyrocket, while your income, your pay, your salary remains the same. Even if it does increase a little bit, you're paying more in taxes because you're at a higher tax bracket, right? So either way you take it, you're still stuck in the same position. You're not going or coming. You're literally stuck in the same position. Now, if a guy was, let's just say 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, based on what those prices were, let's just say you were able to get by just enough. You're relatively comfortable with taking care of your financial obligations and having some leftovers for savings, investment, whatever. Fast forward a year and a half to 2 years later, where the prices of everything has gone up, that becomes a challenge. That little bit of a safety net that you had, that little bit of wiggle room is no longer. Now you're squeezed, right? Everything is tight. You're barely making your bills on time. You're barely taking care of the things that you are responsible for taking care of. And so now that puts you in a very miserable and uncomfortable position. And for the men who are all about business, like taking care of your family, taking care of your financial obligations, and all your other obligations is your top priority. Being in that position can be stressful and for some people even depressing. How does that usually manifest itself, right? Irritability, withdrawal, emotional withdrawal, isolation, just on edge all the time. You're just on edge. Small things just becomes a big deal, right? You're no longer measured. If you was a measured individual who can handle difficult situations fairly well, now you're like really worked up and just on edge. And so these little tiny issues they're amplified and is bigger than, or at least appears bigger to you than what they really are. And that's because you are on edge. And that's because you're dealing with an issue that is near and dear to your heart, but it's something that is practically out of your control, right? So all these signs start to happen. In some cases, they're all happening at once, and in some cases it's gradual. The person might go from being measured to now a little bit short, maybe even short-tempered, and you see those signs. And as things remain the same and this guy is not able to find a solution, you're going to start to see these signs more and more and more. One of the other reasons behind why financial stress can eventually lead to mental issues is shame and guilt, right? How many dudes, honestly, will go to somebody, whether it's especially their spouse or anyone else for that matter who matters or who's relevant, and say, hey, I'm having some financial problems, I'm having money problems, I need help, right? And help doesn't necessarily mean you're asking for a handout, you're begging. No, it could simply mean I need to find a way to get over the situation, right? I need help with either finding another job or finding a side hustle or whatever the case might be, but you need help. How many dudes honestly will go to somebody else and tell them that they're having financial problems? You won't, because you are ashamed and you feel guilty. And so with that guilt and shame, it just sits on your emotions and it just builds up and builds up and builds up. The longer you sit in that state of being without doing anything about it, is the worse it gets, right? So you just sit there and you eventually start to become depressed. And gradually, if that goes unchanged, unattended to, it impacts your entire identity. It changes your identity, right? Because now you went from being cool, calm, collected, measured, Mr. I got it under control, to now flustered, irritable, on edge, angry, short, hard to deal with, hard to be around, depressed, low energy, all of that, right? It really affects or can affect your ability, because this is your manhood, bro. This is your identity as a man, to provide. And all of a sudden you find that you can't do that in the way that you would like to, or the way that you're accustomed to doing it. That is not easy for a lot of men to deal with. And so right now, it's a lot of guys that are going through this struggle, and they can't seek help, right? They don't know where to go get help, right? In some relationships where you're married, for example, with children, some wives, they'll get it. They understand. They might be supportive of helping you trying to figure things out or get over this, hump, so to speak, in your life. But there's others that don't care. They do not care. Like, yes, inflation is high, blah, blah, blah. Not my problem. Your problem is to provide, and that's what you're going to do. There are women that don't care. And in those cases and situations where a guy is down and you have somebody who isn't helping to problem solve with you or motivate and uplift you in your downtime, that can be even more stressful, more depressing, because it can start to feel as though you're not appreciated, or it can start to feel as though this is when it really highlight the fact that your value is only measured in dollar bills, right? And once you get to that point, now, if you're not mentally strong, emotionally strong, it can really do a number on you, right? And a lot of guys are experiencing that right now. As men, we want to feel valued. We want to feel that we matter outside of money. Everything else that we do, we matter, right? Some guys are more domesticated than others, right? And they'll do everything. They don't have any traditional roles that they embrace and others that they shun or denounce. They would do everything, meaning they'll do laundry, they'll clean, they'll cook, all of that, right? Because they see that as a teamwork. I'm one of those guys. I see the responsibilities in my home as responsibilities that must be done. So if and where I can help out, I'm gonna help out. I'm gonna do what needs to be done. I'm not gonna just sit back and say, oh, a woman should cooking is only for a woman, or cleaning is only for a woman, so I'm not gonna do it. No, I'm gonna be involved, right? It's a team effort. And so if you're one of those people who bring a lot of value to the table in your relationship or in your family dynamic, and you're only seen and only appreciated and only respected for what you can provide financially and what you can do for everybody around you, and everything else is essentially ignored, that's not easy for anyone to deal with. That's very difficult for a guy to handle. And so that sort of stuff just kind of, again, it leads to withdrawal. Emotionally, you just withdraw. And some people even isolate themselves, right? You just find every which reason to just get away from your family, just be away. Some people even take another job, right? One, you're trying to solve the money problem, but it's also this new realization makes you kind of just want to be isolated. It's like, okay, so all you care about is money. Okay, well then let's see what it feels like when I'm not around, right? So you go find a second job or a couple of side hustles or something just to keep you occupied, right? But if not well measured, that can lead to serious mental health issues and essentially change who you are and who you've become. The other thing that financial difficulties do to a man too, it creates this notion that rest is undeserved. You know what I mean? So if you're struggling with money and you had a long day at work, you come home and you're just exhausted, right? Some guys have the ability to come home and just crash out on the couch and get like a really 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe even an hour nap just to kind of help and reset before they take on the rest of their evening. Some guys in that same position won't take that nap. Even if their body's screaming, you need to lay down, you need to chill, right? You feel ashamed. You feel like, I don't deserve to be sleeping right now when I'm broke. Or you don't even have to necessarily be broke. It's just a matter of you're barely making it. You're barely squeezing by. And your body's screaming at you for rest, but you're like, you can't, right? Because you feel as though you don't deserve it. And that's just so not okay. That is not okay, because at the end of the day, the term health is wealth. It absolutely is, because if your body and your nervous system breaks down in pursuit of more money to please and satisfy the folks around you, guess what? You won't even get to enjoy that money, right? Or you might not even be able to successfully acquire that extra money because your body and your nervous system broken down in the process of pursuing that money. So there has to be a balance. It doesn't matter what, there has to be a balance. Otherwise, it will lead to mental health issues. And the other thing too that kills a guy, especially his confidence and his value and self-worth, is comparison, right? If you're dealing with some financial hardship, difficulties, struggles, whatever, and you are comparing yourself to whomever, your neighbors, your friends, your family members, whomever, but you're comparing, right? That will dig the hole even deeper for you than anything else, because you don't know that other person's situation, right? And looks are so deceiving. You might see somebody who appears to have it all together. Things look like, it's just going well. Everything's fine. They got a nice car, blah, blah, blah. Don't compare yourself to people, bro. Like, don't do it, because whenever you compare yourself to people, in a lot of cases, and especially if it has to do with you being in a vulnerable state and you're comparing yourself to someone who is in a better position than you are, or at least seemingly so, what you're doing inadvertently is you're putting yourself down. Unintentionally, you're putting yourself down, right? Because you're looking at this person saying, oh, they got it all together. They can take vacations. They can do this. They can do that. And, I can barely pay my bills, blah, blah, blah. You're putting yourself down. You're undermining and undervaluing your effort, and everything that you've done and is trying to do for yourself and your family. And then giving this person a whole lot of credit, and you don't even know their stories. Now, even if you actually know this person personally and you know their story and you know that they are indeed doing well, that's okay. That's them. Let them stay over there and continue to do well. That's good for him, right? Don't compare yourself. If anything, use it as inspiration, right? You're like, man, so-and-so is really doing well, and I'm happy for him, and that's exactly how I would like to be. And then you go into problem solving. How can I get like that? What do I need to do to get to that point? Use it as motivation or inspiration rather than comparison, because comparison or comparing is going to put yourself down, and sometimes it can be hard to get up, right? When other people put you down, it's one thing, but when you put yourself down, it can be very hard to get up back on your feet, right? So as the solution-oriented person that I am, and sticking to the theme of this channel, which is to provide, help, advice, and so on for men dealing with just mental issues and issues that men faces, let me propose a solution, right? If you are dealing with any sort of financial difficulties as a direct result of the times that we're living in, meaning the inflated prices of goods and services and the steady pay or income that is not increasing to meet the rate of inflation. If you happen to be one of those guys, or maybe you have a health related issue, maybe you've lost your job, maybe your business isn't going as well as it's supposed to, or it once was, or whatever the case might be. If you find yourself in a position right now where you're having financial difficulties and you are either treated less than by the people around you, or you yourself feel less than because you're not able to do what you once used to do, let me encourage you by saying it's not your fault. It is not your fault. And although this might not be comforting to hear, because it doesn't change your situation, other people are experiencing the same thing. A whole lot of people are experiencing the same thing. And if people were to be honest when you speak with them, they would tell you they are going through the same thing, right? So that's the first thing. I just want to put that out there first. The next thing you have to do is accept the situation from a perspective, a position of humility, right? So instead of beating yourself up about it, instead of feeling defeated, instead of feeling as though you're a failure of some sort, accept the situation for what it is, right? By recognizing that the reason why you're in this situation in the first place is either because of your health related issue or just simply because the economy is just jacked up right now, right? Accept that. Just first accept that situation, right? You're not owning it, but you're accepting it, because whenever there's resistance, it causes friction, and that impacts the way you feel. So accept it. After acceptance, the next thing is problem solving, right? What do I need to do to make extra amount, right? So you would need to identify, based on your current situation, right? Based on your current income and your current expenses, how much more money would you need to make per week, per month, in order to be back in that comfort zone, right? That's the first thing. So let's say you identify that you need to make an extra $1,000, right? Then your next move is figuring out, how can I make an additional $1,000 while still maintaining balance in my life, right? You can't leave that part out. I know it might sound impossible, but you can't leave balance out. So then you have to figure out, what do I need to do to make an additional $1,000 per month? and then go from there, right? I can't figure that out for you because everybody's situation is unique. Everybody's situation is different. You might need to pick up some extra hours and that might get the job done. You might need to start a new side hustle, whatever. It's going to vary based on each individual, but acceptance, and then identify how much more you would need, and then problem solve on how you can get there. What do you need to get to that point, right? And I would also say, be honest. Be honest with yourself and be honest with your partner, right? If you have a spouse and, you're dealing with this issue, let her know. If it's not something that is obvious to her, let her know. Be honest. Let her know. Hey, babe, right now, things are a little bit different, difficult, tight, whatever, because of whatever. Have that honest conversation and just keep her in the loop. You might be surprised how supportive she is, and unless you already know that this is not going to be a supportive person, then that's a different conversation. But be honest about it, talk about it, and don't dwell on it. Don't beat yourself up, right? It's so many people that's going through that situation right now, and it's out of their control. So out of their control, right? So that's my advice. That's what I would suggest you do as you're dealing with this issue, and hopefully that can get you out of it, or at least get you on track to getting out of that situation. All right, guys, that's going to be it for today. I hope that you got some value from this video. I know that it's not easy to deal with what you're experiencing, but you're not alone. You can do this. You can get through it. As long as you're physically able, you can get through it, right? You just have to be positive, have a positive outlook and mindset towards the situation, right? If you are a subscriber, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep the videos coming, so you keep coming back and watch them.